I'm Darwin Kastle, and I'm going to crack a pack. Let's start with the commons. I usually just divide them by color first. Okay, I do often take lands pretty high, but I wouldn't take them first pick overall. Ooh, let's see what oh, this is actually a pretty good rare. I don't think it's crazy at all to first pick this card. Basically, usually the format's slow enough, you usually get to 6 mana, and if you're playing green, it's pretty common to get the Ferocious going, and being able to take 2 creatures out of your top 8 cards and put them into play for 6 mana is relatively insane. Not to mention, I often will play with a bunch of Delve, and so putting cards in my graveyard can be good too. So this is actually a quite reasonable first pick. I'll have to be very impressed with the rest of the pack to not first pick it. This is a fine card. Among things, playable 2-drops are kind of exciting in this format because a lot of times people play nothing on turn 2, and this guy trades with a morph and is good at looking at morphs. So it might be cool if I take this, for this card to come back, because like it would be very reasonable for this to be an 8th pick. This is also another card that might be exciting to come back if I first pick a green card. In a bad pack or a weak pack, I could see first picking this just because it's 1 color removal. I don't generally like to commit to more than 1 color in my first pick overall in this format. So any just really solid, and also unless it's expensive, I don't like to commit to something that's heavy. So because I know I'm going to play 3 colors, so I'm almost always going to keep my first pick and use it, especially if it only has 1. So this black could be my splash color, could be my main color, but whatever, I'd be happy with this card. And I don't have to have black on turn 2 to be happy about this card. This card, I'm not a big fan of this card. Like, it can tempo someone out, but like if they get mana flooded, this actually can be a benefit to them because they can attack and block. So I mean, admittedly, I could do it to my own card if I'm mana flooded, but that's not really how I like to design my draft decks. So there's no chance I'm taking this card here. I could see playing it as like the 23rd card in a draft deck, but or maybe even higher, but certainly not a high pick. Any morph can make the cut, especially if it's in my colors, but even for morph, this is not a high pick. Like the fact that there's no scenario on its own where it hits for more than 2 is very limiting for how good a card it is. This card, not even close to a first pick. Like, I admit I like 2-drops, and it's definitely playable, but 1-power guys are just not super exciting. But yeah, I mean, if I'm in white and I get this card, great. I would not use a high pick on something with a power of 1, even with prowess. I have yet to actually play this card. I'm guessing that the format's slow enough that there is some sort of red-white draft archetype that would use this that could actually roll over some of the slower 3-color decks. I have yet to actually, determine for sure if such archetype exists, but I suspect it does. But certainly, even if I was tempted to go that route, I wouldn't first pick this. Once again, like, it's a 1/1. I think this format's much more about bombs and removal. This wouldn't be like debilitating injury. This wouldn't be crazy to first pick. It only requires 1 of a color and its removal. These are always pretty safe first picks. You know you're not going to waste the first pick, and it's going to be a solid card. Removal's never bad. I think this card's pretty bad, except maybe in our theoretical Firehoof Cavalry archetype, if I'm trying to push people off the table. But a 2/2 that has to attack in a format with lots of hill giants and stuff, I'm not a fan of. So that brings us to our gold cards, which would have to be pretty insane for me to first pick just because it's committing to colors. But if it was insane enough, I'll commit to more than 1 color. Kin Tree Invocation. I'm committing to 2 colors to get a token creature. That's definitely not worth the first pick, and frankly, unless I've already determined I'm in both black and green, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's really good. I haven't played with it yet, but it doesn't seem like it's a high pick, but it certainly would make the cut if I was in black and green. Ride Down. This card actually seems pretty good. Once again in a Firehoof, this seems like a good pack for a Firehoof Cavalry type archetype. Maybe this has got the makings of that kind of archetype, but if I knew for sure I want to force this archetype, I could see first picking this. Especially when I've got this juicy of a card here, I doubt I would first pick this. Let's see, these two cards. I'm a big fan of this card. Like, it's a morph, so if I'm having trouble getting my colors, whatever. But boy, I recently had a draft where I had two of these and I crushed everybody, and it was largely because I had two of these. I mean, it's possible if I first pick this, I'll go into these colors, and it's not uncommon to have a 3-color card wheel. So I think I'm going to go in green and hope that this card comes back. But once again, I'm not a big fan of committing to all 3 colors on the first turn unless it's like completely nuts card, and I don't think this is quite good enough to qualify there. Which similar with this card, this is a solid card, but it's certainly not nuts enough to commit to 3 colors. So having looked at every card in the pack, I think this is the card I'm taking. I think these would be the removal cards would be reasonable to pick, and if you are metagaming that everyone's going to have slow 3-color decks, taking this, knowing for sure that perhaps even 2 of these will come back to you, I think would be a very reasonable approach. Although, I haven't fully explored that particular archetype yet myself, but it seems to have some promise. So, see the unwritten. That's where I'm going with my pack that I've cracked.